Do you have a child who is suicidal? Maybe they've actually tried to kill themselves or made a suicidal gesture, or perhaps they've just talked about wishing they were dead. That's pretty scary stuff for a parent, and you don't know what to do about it. I'm here to tell you that there is a solution, and we're not talking about improving things a little. That's not nearly enough. We're talking about real living, not just not wanting to be dead. Welcome to the answers you've been hoping for. For a long time now, you've been looking for ways to help your child, and I greatly admire what you're doing right now. You're looking for answers. You're trying to love your child, which is way more than most parents do. And finally, you're in the right place. It's like you've been paddling around in the middle of the ocean, desperately looking for help. And now, almost unbelievably, it's here. This is the ship you've been looking for. How could I possibly make such an extravagant promise? Because I know how to teach parents how to help their children find the love and sense of worth that make life worth living. What I teach has been used by uncounted thousands of parents, and it works consistently. I'm not trying to sell you something here that we're going to do. No, you don't have to wait. We're going to start right now. In the next few seconds, I'll be teaching you things about your children and yourselves that you've never known. What a relief to know that right now you're exactly where you've wanted to be. You can learn what you need to learn. Finally, you can feel encouraged. You can feel hope instead of despair. You can help your child, and I'm going to help you do that. You wouldn't be here unless two things were true. One, you have a child who is suicidal to some extent. And two, you care enough to do something about it. I know you've tried to make a difference. I know there's been lots of talking and worrying and reading books and looking at programs, maybe counseling, possibly medication, but your child is still visibly miserable and gives no indication of any great desire to be alive. And you are understandably frustrated and tired. You've been looking for something that works, and here it is. Principles that have proven to work hundreds of thousands of times all over the world. If parents are thoroughly committed to learning and practicing what I'm going to share with you, predictably, I see children learn to really want to live. I see them come alive. I see them become truly happy and productive, even after everything else has failed. You become happy too. It is not hopeless. I'm here to help you, and I'll be using the insight and experience of counseling with thousands of parents, and from writing 20 books and endless articles on the subject, as well as appearing on 1,600 radio and television shows and presenting seminars all around the world, and more. You are about to change the world around you, and you don't have to do it alone, which is miserable and frustrating. You've already proven that with your own experience. So now the question that has to be on your mind: what am I going to teach you that you don't already know? What am I going to say that you haven't already read or heard somewhere? This is going to be revolutionary for you to hear. So slow down your brain and listen with your soul. What does a child need more than anything else? After food, water, and air, the answer's really obvious, and yet we keep missing it over and over, which is how our kids get to the place where they are. To see the answer more easily, let's start with an infant. When an infant cries, other than from obvious physical pain, what does he want? Turns out you already know intuitively because you just pick him up. You're pretty smart. You already know that every child wants to feel cared for. Every child wants to feel loved. Picking them up and holding them is just a demonstration of that. And if you're genuine in caring about them, they feel it. But infants are relatively easy to love. They smile and melt your heart. They make cute little noises, and they laugh in ways that we never hear anywhere else. They're adorable. But then they get older. They learn to spill things, make messes, ferociously say no when you tell them what to do, scream in their car seat, fight with their siblings, refuse to cooperate with what you say to do. They become discouraged, depressed, say ugly and hateful things to you and other people, and sometimes they just give up on life and want to die. That makes perfect sense when they're in enough pain. They get a lot harder to love. And when that happens, we really don't know what to do. Usually we try to control their behavior, and we might even temporarily succeed, but it doesn't last, and we end up with kids who are still miserable. We're not so happy either. Let me say this another way. If our children become more difficult to love as their behavior changes, that proves we don't know how to love them unconditionally. If we did love them unconditionally, we'd love them no matter what. But if loving them becomes more difficult when they're depressed and suicidal, for example, our love is conditional. Unconditional love, or what I call real love, means caring about another person without wanting anything from them in return. But we do expect something in return for the love that we give our kids. Respect, cooperation, gratitude, and reasonable behavior, which does not include wanting to be dead. Now, more about unconditional love. That kind of love would mean that our love would not be affected by what they do. That's what unconditional love means. But we really don't know how to do that. How do I know? We prove it every time we become angry or disappointed or impatient or irritated at them. Our anger and disappointment and frustration are undeniable proof that our love is not unconditional. Deep inside, you know what I'm saying is true. You can feel it. But let me demonstrate it further. When other people are angry at you, do you like it? Never. You really don't. Nobody does. When other people are angry at us, or when we're angry at other people, we're all saying, look what you did to me, or failed to do for me. When we're angry, we are focused utterly on ourselves. Me, me, me. And in that moment, other people, notably our children, hear only 4 words. I don't love you. When we're angry, we're far too occupied with ourselves to unconditionally love anybody. I repeat, when we are angry at another person, including our child, they hear only, I don't love you. I promise you that this is true. And no, we don't mean to say that, but what else could people hear while our words, tone, and behavior are screaming, me, me, me? I don't love you is what you hear and feel when people are angry at you. Think about that honestly. And it's what our children hear and feel when we're angry at them. Again, we do not mean to do this. We do not mean to hurt our children. Of course we don't. But it was inevitable because we were not loved unconditionally, which means being consistently loved without disappointment or anger, loved freely, loved without conditions. So how could we possibly have learned to unconditionally love our own children? Impossible. And there's nobody to blame. Our ignorance of real love simply perpetuated over generations. We don't know how to love unconditionally because we've never seen it or felt it with any consistency. For emphasis, I'm going to say all this in a slightly different way. When children behave badly, when they're suicidal, for example, it is almost always a reaction. I'm going to eliminate the almost. It's always a reaction to them not feeling loved unconditionally. Loved with no disappointment, irritation, frustration, or anger. That could sound a little discouraging, maybe even bleak, Well, overall, it is bleak. Look at the world around us, at the utter obsession with things that are distractions from our pain, from our not feeling loved, like endless entertainment, addiction to electronics, anger, controlling people, drugs, alcohol, sex, and on and on. There is the proof that overall, we do not know how to love people unconditionally. If we did, and I speak here with vast experience, all of those behaviors that I listed would not exist. I've been teaching unconditional love now for so many years to so many parents that I can tell you this with complete certainty. When a child truly feels loved unconditionally, he or she never wants to be dead. He or she is not depressed. Instead, they're happy and responsible and all those qualities you wish they had. With sufficient love, there is simply no need to act out or otherwise behave badly, like threatening suicide. Happy people just don't do that. Period. Ever. So that is what I'll be teaching you. How to love your children unconditionally, which then gives them, finally, a reason to listen to you. How many times have you wondered in your head, why is this kid not listening to what I'm saying? Well, there's an answer, and here it is. Because when you are irritated, your child hears only, I don't love you. And that is so devastating that he or she hears none of the rest of the content of what you say. If you do love them unconditionally, they can hear you, what you're really saying, because they're not distracted by their fear. They're not blinded and deafened by the I don't love you message. Then it becomes possible for you to teach them anything, like how to feel loved, how to be loving, how to be responsible. And if they have that powerful trifecta, if they feel loved and they are loving and responsible, it is a guarantee, a lock, that they will be happy, which is the ultimate goal for any parent or, frankly, any person. Your children can learn that being happy is a great way of living, that it's worth living. And then thoughts of death just disappear. Take my hand and we'll talk about what you can do and how I will support you. It will almost be like starting over as a parent. You're going to learn how to be a real parent, and your child will learn the lessons of life that will benefit him or her for the rest of their lives. If you implement what you learn here, if you do it consistently, you simply will not believe the differences you'll see in your child and in you and in your family. Imagine it. No more sulking or withdrawing or depression or talk of death or talk of quitting or talk of just not caring. No more tension in the family. It's astonishing to see and to feel. Our children are not defective. They're not bad. We're not bad. We just have not known how to love and teach them. What we're doing with our kids now is not working. Loving and teaching them does. Rarely is it too late to change whatever unproductive behaviors you're dealing with, not if you're really willing to learn and to apply these principles to the interactions with your child. I can promise you, learning how to be a parent is worth it. Learning how to be a real parent is worth it. We're about to learn how to eliminate the behaviors in your children that are hurting them and making you crazy. Really. I make you another promise. Learning to be a loving, effective parent is easier than everything else you've done as a parent so far. We're really going to get into this. This is not a casual effort. We're not looking to make your children or child more manageable. They're not objects to manage. That's not even close to being enough. Our mission is to help you become a powerful and effective parent and to help your child feel loved and to be loving, responsible, and genuinely happy. It's a transformation. If you are truly committed to learning how to parent, I'm fully committed to teach you, and I will bring resources to the table you never thought about. The rewards are spectacular, as we have seen in uncounted thousands of families. There is not a single thing you'll ever do that will ring through the ages more powerfully than being a loving and effective parent. You can do this. So let's learn some more. Let's get started. Click the button below. It's free to begin transforming your life as a ridiculously effective parent.